You talk about the UTS, the Ultimate Tennis Showdown. Tell me about it.
Well, for several years, I've been struck by the fact that tennis is in a difficult situation. I know it doesn't look like that because we have unbelievable champions, we have great tournaments, but if you look more in details, you realize that the average age of the tennis fan is 61 years old, which is quite old for a sport, and even more worrying, those fans are getting 1 year older every year, which means just that tennis is unable to renew its fan base, and we're literally living on the fan base that has been created in the 70s and the 80s, and there are no new fans that come to tennis. So if you know that, then first of all you worry about the future for your sport, and second you think, what can I do to help? Because the whole industry is in trouble potentially in the next years. So why then I started to ask myself this question: why are we in this situation? And I think there are several answers. The first answer is, the reason why tennis has been so successful in the 70s and the 80s is because it was bringing so much emotion. The personalities on the court were incredible. They were sharing their emotions with the crowd. All the players were very easy to identify because they were showing so much of who they were. And all this has disappeared because of several reasons. But I mean, the fact is that nowadays the players, most of them have the same attitude on the court. It's very difficult to identify them, and the code of conduct is so tough that they don't dare sharing any emotions. So that's, I think, one of the explanation, because the reason why people watch sport is to feel something. They want to feel emotions. So if the players don't give emotions, it's more difficult to get into it. And the second, I think, I mean, there are many other explanations, but the second big explanation is that the world has completely changed, and the way to consume, that people consume sports and videos, has completely changed the last 10, 20 years. And the format of tennis has not moved at all. And I think it was very modern in the 70s and the 80s. And if you look at it today, it's a bit old-fashioned. I think the sport in itself, the tennis, is an unbelievable sport. Once you fall in love with tennis, it's for life. But the show that comes with it is very old-fashioned, and I think it needs to be a bit renewed. And that's the whole idea about UTS. So I've been thinking about that for years. And when we were stuck at home during the COVID-19 crisis, I thought, well, what can we do? Is it the right moment to try to launch something? And I thought, yes, probably, because there is no tournament, there is nothing. And there is a little window now to probably propose a different way to showcase tennis. Let's do it.
So, how will it work? How will the players do it? Will it be without spectators during the crisis?
So the first thing I want to say is that it's not a one shot at all. We have to create a league,
Okay.
apart from the ATP and the WTA. It's a private league that will show tennis all year long, but a different way. So in a way, I tell people, forget what you know about tennis, because it's something else. And that's completely what we've done. We've started with this white page. I thought, okay, if I had to invent tennis today, what will I do? We're in 2020. What would I do? And that's exactly what we've done. Everything's going to be different. First of all, we're going to play the matches only on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to have 5 matches every Saturday, 5 matches every Sunday, and it's going to start the weekend of the 13 and 14 in June.
You talk about showing the emotions and how you want to revolutionize tennis, but how will the public and the spectators interact? How will it be different?
I think the whole experience will be completely different. The format will be shorter and more adapted to how people consume videos nowadays. Much more dynamic. What we want is the people at home watching on their couch. I want them to jump out of the couch every 4 or 5 minutes, or maybe 2-3 minutes, because they'll be stuck with something. They'll be surprised. They'll have emotions. Why? Because we're going to create an environment that will help the players express their emotions and show who they are. The code of conduct is going to be much lighter. Of course, we need to set up limits. There has to, but there will be, like, within those limits, a space for freedom, a space where they can express what they feel and how they feel. Also, we also involve a few other people in the show, not only the two players, but also the environment of the players will be involved in the show. And at the changeover, we'll find a way to have interaction between the players and the people at home. What we want is interaction, emotion, and a dynamic, fast, and exciting show rather than a very long journey. If I can make a comparison, I would say that tennis, ATP and WTA, at ATP WTA, a tennis match is like a marathon. On UTS, it's more like a sprint.
Patrick, what about the existing governing bodies in tennis? Because they're quite strict. So how do they feel about the Ultimate Tennis Showdown?
Well, I think the fact that tennis is in a difficult situation for the future is something that everybody agrees on. Now, the solutions, I mean, someone has to try to find solutions. I think for the ATP and the WTA, it's difficult to do it because they have a big fan base that is used to the old format of tennis, and I'm not sure they would like it to be changed. Actually, it's a very conservative sport, and I think a lot of people are against change there. So for the ATP and the WTA, it's difficult to make those changes, and that's why it's easier for me. We're a private company. We're kind of a startup, and we're free to do what we want. And I think it's a great thing because we'll see if it works. We'll see if people like it. That's the big question. If they like it, I think ATP and WTA will be very happy to sit at the table with us and try to find a solution to make those two formats live next to each other, because they will bring new people also to tennis. And at the end of the day, the more tennis fans, the better for everyone. I had, of course, discussions with both the ATP and the WTA, and they just said they're going to have a look at it, and we're going to see if it works. And if it works, they'll be happy to sit down and discuss. I'm not trying to be against anybody. I mean, I'm doing this for tennis. I think tennis needs to be reinvented also. I think there is a space for two different tours. This exists in many other sports. In cricket, for example, this exists in Formula One. This exists in boxing. There are different leagues with different formats, and anyone can find his own preference. But there is a product for everybody in tennis.